Hello, and we are back at ServiceCon. I told you we would be back. This is Heidi Ellsworth, and I am so excited to have Greg Hayne here on the sound stage. You just finished absolutely an amazing presentation. I thought it was so good. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Heidi.
I love it. Well, let's start out with some introductions. Could you introduce yourself and tell us about your company?
I am Greg Hayne. I'm with the Hayne Coaching Group. I facilitate peer groups and also train roofing contractor service departments.
And you're also a very well-known speaker. You have been on the coffee shop many times. If you've watched any of Greg's webinars, we always get very high attendance, and people love what you say about service and education and teaching them about it.
I tend to be plain spoken.
Yes, he does. Very true. Yes. I love that.
Well, I think one of the allures that many businessmen tell me that they appreciate me is that they say to me, you know, Greg, I have a whole building full of people that spend all their time trying to figure out how to tell me what they think I want to hear. And what you do is tell me what you think I need to hear, whether I like it or not.
Exactly.
And that is my tendency. And you heard me doing versions of that in my presentation.
Yes. I thought it was really good.
Yes.
And you and I have also had, just yesterday, we had a great conversation.
Yes.
And you really live what you teach in asking questions and asking difficult questions that I think are really good. Personally, I like it. So, but talk a little bit about what you talked about today so that the audience knows kind of what they missed a little bit at ServiceCon.
So I think it would be better for me to show them what they missed.
Let's show them. I love show and tell. This is perfect.
So the visual thing I'm going to show here actually came to me in an inspiration. But what I said to people, I said, this container is you. And I said, you know, there's going to be a small mess here now.
Yes, that's fine. We like beans. We're at the coffee shop.
Yeah, and so.
So these are coffee beans, just so you know.
So what happens
they're not
is
coffee beans.
You do. They're black beans.
They're black beans.
But you have estimating, you have projects to do. Yeah, thank you. You have insurance. You have this. You have that. And pretty soon it's starting to overflow, and everybody can relate to that.
Yeah.
And the problem is, what everybody tries to do is they try to take these beans and get them handled. And you have to handle them. It's part of your job to handle them. But the problem is they keep coming. And so what I suggested that they needed to do was, rather than focus on the beans, they needed to focus on the container, which was them.
Brilliant.
Because this contractor, he still has all the same beans, but he's got all kinds of extra capacity. And then we spent time talking about ways that they can work on themselves I said, you need to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's a quote from the late, great Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
And then we gave them some ideas as to how they could go about doing that.
And that made a lot of sense to me, because I've actually been down this journey, this path for a number of years. And you're 100% right. As you grow your container and delegate, elevate, all of those different things, you open up that bandwidth, but it's an ongoing process. It's not something that just stops.
One thing that I don't think most people understand is they look at some contractor that's a lot bigger than them, and they think that they've got it all figured out. No. No. I've got a number of friends in the industry that are big contractors, and one of them pulled me aside, Steve Little.
Yeah.
And he says, you have to understand, I've never taken a company from 40 million to 60 million before. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out as I go along. I think all of us are figuring it out as we go along all the time.
100%. 100%.
And I think just knowing that can be a little more reassuring for people.
I do too. And that was a big part of what you shared. And I really, love the thing that there was maybe about 20% are all business owners in that room, and then maybe 75-25. But anyway, It was really good, because this concept is for everyone, whether you're a business owner or not. Everyone needs to be working on their container and making it bigger.
And we all grow. There's nobody that is today who they were 15 years ago. We've all grown.
Right.
But most of that growth comes about because the events of life force us.
Yes.
That's the hard way.
Yeah.
To wait for somebody to push you into doing it. You need to be proactive. And one of the things I talked about is how many of the contractors in my peer groups are, not many, some of them are bored because they don't need to be in the office any day. And the thing that's interesting is like they get a job coming out of college. It's working for a roofing company in sales. They do really well, and then they get promoted and they may put in charge of sales. And then somebody says, "Geez, they might be able to help us on the production side." And 10 years later, they're the general manager. And then in their early 40s, the boss comes and says, "I'm going to retire early. I'm going to sell the business to you, you, and you." And now here's this guy who had no plan other than to get a job when he got out of college. He's now running a $30 million a year roofing company. He's making lots of money, doesn't need to be there every day, and he's bored, and he doesn't know what to do about it. Because he never had to figure this just always the flow of life.
Right.
So hopefully people can adopt some proactive kinds of approaches. So as you know, I talked about this a little bit in my talk. I've reinvented myself multiple times.
Yes, I have a couple times myself.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Yes.
And each time it's gotten better.
Yeah, definitely, every time.
Yeah. And I've done this enough that I've figured out there's a set of tools I use every time I need this. And so we've actually taken those tools and put them into an online course for people.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what's it called?
It's called What's Next? Navigating Life's Transitions. It's on our website. It's very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
We're not pricing this that only large business owners can afford. This is something that most anybody can afford.
And really help people sit down and think about what's next.
There's tools. We walk you through the steps. I mean, some of the things we talked about in there today are the sorts of things but there's other things.
Right.
And it's designed, if you use these tools, what's next for you will appear. Because whenever I need something that's new, it starts with, this is no longer working for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I need something else. I need to grow.
I need to do something different.
I need to do something different. Yeah.
I love it. Greg, congratulations.
Thank you.
You have some great materials. You can find this information about Greg. Tell them your website.
Hayne Coaching Group, Hayne, HayneCoachingGroup.com.
And you're going to find a number of things on Roofers Coffee Shop that Greg has done. So just do a search on Greg because you'll find some amazing webinars and talks and articles that we've had. Greg, thank you. Really, you've inspired me, and I took some notes. I'm going home, and clarity checks is gonna be one of them.
Okay,
so
good.
I like
Glad
it.
to help, Heidi.
Yes,
thank you.
Thanks
for having me.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We have more coming today. We're gonna go down and check out Tracy Donalds right now, who's speaking, and then we'll get him on the sound stage. We also haven't had Derek here, we haven't had Carrick here to talk about drones. So we have a lot coming your direction, plus some more contractors and a live roofing road trips. Stay tuned.